This is where you get people who are telling you that you can get 1,000 subscribers in a week if you just do this one thing. And like, of course that's appealing, because if you've done this for any length of time, you know that it's hard, and so somebody telling you that there's an easy way to do it, I mean, that's going to be really appealing because it would be easier. The problem is that those people are lying to you, and let's talk about it. I have done a lot of work in the video entertainment space. I interned at The Late Late Show with Craig Ferguson, which was before James Corden. I worked at Channel Frederator, both kind of on their MCN side. I did a lot of videos on their entertainment side too. I did 107 Facts. I still have the 107 Facts voice. You never forget that one. You also never forget how to do SpongeBob's laugh, which is... Oh man, maybe I did forget. That's it. And then obviously I've worked here at Little Monster. Some of the stuff I've done I'm really proud of. Some of it I'm so embarrassed about that I will not talk about which videos those are. Like, there's a video at Channel Frederator that I am very not happy with my own performance, and I will not tell you which one it is because it is so painful to think about. But no matter what I was doing in any of those spaces, or how I feel about it now after the fact, or how I feel about what I'm doing now, none of it has been easy. Entertainment is hard. Like, every job is hard. That's why we pay people to do the things, is because they're hard. This is getting a little off topic, but if you've ever been a busboy, when you hear someone say unskilled labor, you want to drop them in a volcano. If you are a busboy currently, God love you. I don't even know what to say. It was the hardest thing I've ever done. Before we get too deep into it, I do want to issue like a kind of clarification. Like, lots of people will talk about themselves as growth hackers, or will talk about YouTube growth hacks because the word is widely understood. Some people are using it and giving out BS, and some people are using the same words to give legitimate advice. The term hack has kind of mutated to mean like anything you can do to grow your audience, whether or not that's like a long-term plan for success or some nonsense one weird trick that's going to, you know, blow up your channel overnight. So just because something uses the word hacks doesn't mean it's the kind of growth hacker who's lying to you. But let's talk about how you can identify hacks that are totally nonsense. What do you mean? Was there a series of videos by a popular creator that maybe prompted all these videos about how YouTube growth hackers lie to you? Where would you get that idea from? Who can say? But let's move past that. Let's look at ways we can identify a growth hack that is fake. First off, if it overemphasizes YouTube growth down to one point or one specific hack, it is probably lying to you, right? You're gonna see this presented in like, here's the one thing that you're not doing, or I did this thing and then I got 10,000 subscribers overnight. Even at the very highest 1,000-foot views that we can talk about videos at, we have to talk about at least 3 things that matter to growth, and those are the content itself, which we're going to get into. That's kind of another point. CTR, which is how often people are clicking on your videos, and average view duration, which is it actually keeping them engaged? Are they enjoying it? Are they compelled to keep going? There is no hack, there is no bit of advice that can solve all of those things for you, unless that hack or advice was literally just have the best channel on the planet. Either the growth hack at that point is going to be way too general to be helpful, like just have the best YouTube channel ever, or it's going to be fake, like it'll be something like upload only on Wednesdays, and that's not how that works. Or that's being a little bit mean. Maybe it's like, here's how you pick what day to upload, which is like a good thing, but it is not going to get you wild returns all by itself. Like, there's a difference between saying, here's one thing I'd like everybody to do to have a better channel, and this one thing got me this. One's just giving somebody a single piece of a wider strategy. One is purporting that this one tidbit is the entire strategy. Having well put together community posts is good advice, is part of a wider strategy. Community posts will get you millions of views is nonsense. We have a video about how nonsense that is. It's like almost 40 minutes. You should check it out. Another way that it's really easy to spot a fake hack is if it is focused entirely on like text-based sources. So like text metadata or on something external. Because if you're going to go out of your way to make up something that's totally nonsense, it should be something that's probably pretty easy to implement and pretty easy to show. And having something that's endemic to your content or your programming or even your thumbnails is going to be really hard to do, because you actually have to put together those visual resources. And like coming up with like good titles and stuff can be hard and it can take a lot of time. But if you're just kind of shooting from the hip and making stuff up, it's really, really easy to just go to the keyboard and type something up. If somebody's advice to blow up your channel can be done in 3 minutes using only a keyboard, it's probably not accurate. Unless you had the best freaking videos in the world that are the most broadly appealing things, and you had the absolute worst titles that are completely non-descriptive and somehow actively repulsive, you can't fix your videos that fast. Just can't be done. And that's like if we're talking about titles, like if somebody's talking to you about tags or descriptions or comments is the way you're going to blow up your channel, that is just right out. Like title at least has an impact on CTR. Like if somebody's coming at you talking about descriptions though, like you should run away. Like there are things you can do wrong in descriptions, but you are just not gonna see big view returns because you fixed your descriptions. Sorry. Another good way to spot a fake hack or somebody who doesn't know what they're talking about is if their advice doesn't take into account that there are different kinds of programming and different kinds of channels. Some advice can be universally applied if it's extremely general, like have eye-catching thumbnails. Okay, but what makes a thumbnail eye-catching? And then you'll get specific pieces of advice where people will be like, use yellow arrows and red circles. And for a number of channels, that is true. If you want to show off something that's very small without blowing it up, like or make it seem almost like a hidden picture, like having the yellow arrows and red circles can be really, really helpful, but not every channel's going for that. Bright colors is the other one that you hear a lot, and that, again, is true for some channels and not true for others. And if a growth hack doesn't account for that or have any additional follow-up to that, you can usually pretty safely ignore it. The place I feel like I see this the most is SEO, because some people are just SEO, 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 SEO. And a lot of that feels like it stems because when we're talking about internet marketing, a lot of people are talking about getting onto the first page of Google, which if you're like a retail business is really, really important, and SEO is everything there. For a lot of channels on YouTube, SEO is good and you want to do a good job of it, but if you are an entertainment channel, most of your views are going to come from browse and suggested, which means they're not going through the search engine at all. If you're a utility channel, however, most of your traffic is probably going to come through search, and SEO is going to be tremendously important to you. Any hacks about SEO are going to affect an entertainment channel and a utility channel so differently. Fun fact, if you look through a lot of my videos on this channel, you'll find that like a lot of the time I couch my language with adverbs, which is actually a pretty bad speaking device and I should stop, and my English teachers of old would be really, really upset with me. There's some adverbs. They'd be despondent. That's what they'd be. Instead of really, really upset, they're despondent. But I'll say things like, generally speaking, or in a vacuum, 9 times out of 10, something like that, because I don't want to give the impression that this is true for everybody. And I'll also go, as a quick caveat to that, or as a quick sidebar, or before we get started, let me issue a clarification, which I did at the beginning of this video, because we try and make these videos universally applicable, but still specific, and that's a hard needle to thread. So a lot of times I couch my language and kind of hedge my bets because I would rather be honest with you than issue something that isn't helpful. Another example, it might be worth experimenting. One of the videos I was proud of is 10 experiments with thumbnails that you can try. And like every one, I'm like, if you haven't tried this, consider trying it out, because like some of them won't be true for your channel. And lastly, and this one kind of ties together all of them, you can spot a fake growth hack if it ignores Rule 0. If you've been watching my videos, you might have heard me talk about Rule 0 before. I think it's come up a couple of times. But Rule 0 is basically that you have to have good content and you have to believe that your content is good. Because if you don't believe that your content is good, what are we even doing trying to grow the audience? Like, it might not be perfect, it can have flaws, but you need to believe that your content has worth and it has to have worth, or nothing else will matter. If somebody's growth hack doesn't require you to have good content, you should treat it as dead on arrival. It is like the biggest red flag imaginable. When I was watching the Spiffing Brit video for the first time, like one of the biggest, most immediate things that caught my ear and upset me was that they said that the community tab was better than making videos, which just sets off so many alarm bells, because if you think that there's something you can do that will supplant making good content, you have totally lost the plot. And you don't need every video that you watch to say, well, obviously you have to have good content. That's why I don't talk about Rule 0, because like it's sort of everything is predicated on believing that what we're doing is good and worthwhile. And if we don't believe that, why are we doing anything? But if somebody says like, it doesn't matter what you upload, or you don't even need to upload to do this, run for the hills. It's not worth your time. You are almost certainly not going to extract value from it. So that's kind of a quick primer on how to spot garbage when it comes to people talking about growth hacks. But why do people do it? And there's kind of two answers to that. One, they're going with things that are really easy. Something that you might have noticed is that when we talk about like text metadata, or we talk about ignoring Rule 0, it makes it really easy advice, because you don't have to worry about making good content. You don't have to worry about making thumbnails. You just have to type a few things into your video or into your tags, and suddenly you're a millionaire. Like, it makes it sound very, very easy. And very, very easy is very, very compelling, and it's something that you're going to want to come back to. Like, don't get me wrong, I believe very much in the value of what we do at Little Monster, but I can't deny that it's probably much more compelling to say, for just 10 minutes of your time, I can get you 1,000 subscribers, than it is to say, if you listen to the 2 hours or so I have about the fundamental basics of YouTube for beginners, you are well on your way to start your journey of organically growing your audience. One of those is giving you a quick, actionable thing and promising a material result, where my thing is a lot more ephemeral and asks a lot more of you. It's just that I'm telling the truth. It's just that my thing is also more immediately upfront honest. But you know, like if you did the thing and you took the 10 minutes and you did it and you didn't get 1,000 subscribers and you said that to the person who gave you that advice, if you got a response, they would find something else. You know, there would always be some other issue at play. I mean, that could be true, but that's why we try and present the issues all together and holistically. Because if there's other issues at play and then you're talking about this like, I can get you this many thousand subscribers and it'll only take this, and there are other factors than you're making it up that this thing can actually get you those 1,000 subscribers. But you don't want to say that up front, because that kind of makes it sound less appealing. And these channels at the end of the day also want their own views, right? Like, as much as they're here to help people out, they're also here to get you to watch and subscribe and come back for the next hack. In fact, I imagine in a lot of these cases, people don't care if you take their advice or value their advice. It's kind of like life hacks, which, yeah, it's things that involve hacks a lot. Like, you can't glue the top of a soda bottle to an orange and cut out part of the orange and just pour juice into a cup, like a full glass of juice. It does not work. It doesn't happen like that. Nor should you be using toothpaste on burn injuries, but that is something that life hack channels will purport you can do. Shout out to channels like Funny Me Now or How to Cook that spend a lot of time like debunking life hacks like that. But like life hacks and food hacks can actually be really impractical, and the channel doesn't care, because the channel isn't actually trying to give you hacks that will improve your life. They're trying to get you to watch with the promise of things that will change your life. YouTube growth hacking is kind of the same way. So rather than giving strong advice that's going to take a lot of time to implement, we want to tell people what the quick and easy method is. Because of course you would want to watch that more. Why wouldn't you want to watch that more? And it's also part of the reason that I said that channels up front and people that are really good and really smart will still use terms like growth hack, because it has become synonymous with like really, really useful. And you do have to compete with the bad faith actors and the noise that is out there. And so, yes, People who have very good advice will use sensational terms like growth hacks or life hacks. So that's why people will look in front of a camera or step in front of a microphone and just say things that have no basis in reality. Which just leaves the question of, why does this make me so angry? I'm actually pretty calm in this video because I got to say my piece in the last one. So I'm feeling a lot more mellow about this than I normally would because making a 35 to 40 minute video was cathartic. But anyway, this really upsets me because it really upsets me in general when people take something that is hard or complicated and just present it as easy, because it's really insulting. Having your specific video noticed on YouTube is sort of like trying to get people to pay attention to one specific star in the sky. It's really difficult to do, and there's a lot of competition and a lot of things that are going to divert their attention or get in the way. If you're having growth under those conditions, you should be celebrating, because that's really, really tough. And then somebody will come along who has no real business making this claim, will be like, oh, all you have to do is change your tags around and you're gonna be able to do this no problem. And no, it's wrong, and it sort of devalues the efforts of all the people who work hard by saying like, well, actually all you needed to do was this, when that's not true. And also while they're doing it as videos that are generating their own views and own growth and taking that to the bank. It also just sort of implies like you haven't even thought about the thing that they're going to present to you. You know, like I deal with anxiety, and other people have like plenty of chronic conditions, like, you know, if somebody's diabetic or something, and somebody will just come along and go like, oh, well, you can probably fix it by doing this. You can fix your anxiety by taking a walk. I knew someone who had diabetes once. Have you tried laying off the soda? Like, yeah, it just has this really insidious energy of like, oh, the fact that it's not going as well as you'd like is your fault because there's a really simple fix and you're not doing it, which sort of undermines that maybe you have been doing it or you've tried it and the problem is more complicated than that. YouTube, much like any form of entertainment, much like anything in the world that generates value, is really hard. And anyone who tells you otherwise is lying, stupid, or both. And when push comes to shove, they're not doing it for your benefit, they're doing it for theirs. There are some really smart, intelligent people on YouTube who are putting together really good information and help creating a lot of great insight. Personally, big fan of Daniel Batal. Really, really smart, doing a lot of good work. But at the end of the day, YouTube is a marathon and not a sprint. And if somebody is telling you otherwise, maybe find your information from somewhere else. Maybe that's here, I don't know. I mean, you're also like, already here, so that's probably a pretty good sign. So like, kudos and thumbs up there. And with that, hopefully you're a little bit better equipped to spot fake growth hacks. I certainly hope this video is helpful, and I hope it doesn't give the impression that anything about YouTube is easy. With that, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to check out our other videos on audience development. If you liked this video, be sure to leave a like to let us know that you liked it and would like to see more things like it. And if you haven't already, subscribe to Little Monster for more videos on audience development every single week. See you next time. One weird trick to get people to see me next time. Say see you next time.